Hi. Well, my name is Luna and this is my bedtime story for you. Fluff up your pillow and do get comfy. Oh, by the way, please click subscribe and hit the thumbs up button. Thank you, and let's get started. Another day spent muddling through piles of moldy books and decrepit shelves filled to the brim with cobwebs. Aberdale Library isn't a bad place to work, I suppose, if you favor a mundane and sapless lifestyle. Personally, the grayish furniture and sunless cramped rooms offer nothing but a dreary boredom, and the smell of old paper makes me sick. It's 6 o'clock at the shop, closing time. As I prepare to close the moth-eaten curtains and turn off the lights, a small glint catches my eye. A shining reflection of light beaming off of a book of blackened leather. I pick up the book and strain my eyes to read the title. The golden bough was laid bare in a gold-tinted hue across the leather-bound cover. Upon further examination, I could see depictions of various symbols circling around the bough of a willow tree. Atop the bough lay a small bird, perhaps a sparrow or finch, clutching a band of beads with a miniature ink attached. Quickly glancing through the book showed me images of triangles and trapezohedrons laid out with various labels and patterns. Sayings such as "burned God," "Solomon's Key," and "Cardinal Truth" lay strewn about throughout the various madly written paragraphs. This was not one of our books. Something so strange and outlandish as this could only have been brought here from the outside. Tucked beneath the yellow-stained pages I could see a note written in black ink. The note must have been printed recently, as the ink had yet to fade. The note said, "Property of Atwood Menagerie. If lost, return to Mrs. Atwood at 117 Harrington Street. See you soon." What a curious thing, this strange object from the city had found its way into my small town library. I scoffed and placed the book onto a nearby table. Why should I bother returning such a strange book? I shut off the lights and locked the library door with a sudden click. The brisk fall air caressed my face as I walked to my car in preparation of receiving a good night's sleep. Little did I know I would never receive proper sleep for as long as I live. As I laid my head against the pillow, I could feel a tingling in the back of my skull. The moonlight shimmered through my open window onto my pale woolen blanket, covering the room in a soft blue glow. As sleep overtook me, I almost felt as if I wasn't alone in the room, as if something was watching down from above. Regardless, I drifted off to sleep. I awoke standing atop a jagged spire of stone, surrounded by a gray mist. Peering over the edge of the spire, I could see green murky water spread out in every direction for miles. Streaks of foam and salt lay strewn throughout the dirty ocean water, and I could observe numerous shipwrecks wasted across the darkened depths. Hanging above the graveyard of ships lay a red sun, with a singular object overhead. A book, the same black book from the library earlier today, hung above the celestial star, blocking out any semblance of light. It drifted closer to me, reaching out its presence to my very soul. The book began to open, revealing a shining golden light which expelled from the interior of the pages. Dear God, I can still remember it, a face of some creature ... some ghoulish abomination never seen by the likes of man. The lifeless face peered down at me, searing its horrific features of dead decaying flesh into my mind. I screamed, and the world began to collapse. I awoke drenched in sweat, shivering as if it were below freezing. A bitter taste stuck to the back of my throat as I leaned out of my bed and looked out the window. The sun was just rising, but something seemed to be off. I could see a faint red tint reflecting off the sunlight. This book, there was something special about it. It radiates a total alien and mysterious power that I simply could not describe. My mind had become enslaved by the symbols and ravings of the Golden Bough. I simply had to know more. I packed a suitcase and prepared to travel to eastern London to find answers. As I rode the London Express deeper into the heart of the city, my mind grew nervous. Visions of unsightly beasts dripping with a thick crimson red further fueled my cosmic terror. The train slammed to a halt and released a puff of smoke into the atmosphere. From this point I was on my own. I began walking towards the menagerie, constantly gazing over my shoulder as if I were being followed. There it was, tucked beneath an alleyway betwixt two abandoned buildings, a simple wooden sign marked Atwood Menagerie. Home of oddities beyond the stars. The curious are welcome. An aged oak door with an ornate bronze handle stood firmly in my path. The door handle held the appearance of a sharp talon reaching its grasp towards the sky. I took a deep breath and entered. A brisk cool air pressed against my face as I surveyed the room. Red curtains lay draped over all windows, leaving a single lantern to illuminate the room. Cobwebs and books of all sorts stood in tall piles scattered amongst the wooden floorboards. Glass cases displayed various baubles and figures that I simply could not recognize. I could see a black trapezohedron with shining red outlines, a pulsating piece of fungus trapped within a miniature grotto, and what appeared to be a preserved human eye floating in a glass jar. Then a voice called out, snapping me out of my curious haze. "May I help you?" An old woman grinned while sitting behind an ornate Gothic desk. Her hair was a deep brown with splotches of aged silky gray. She garbed a large violet robe with scarlet trimmed outlines. Centered on her cloak laid embroidery depicting a tree branch wrapped in golden silk, surrounded by the same symbols written in the Golden Bough. "Hello, yes. I'm here to return this book I found. I believe it's called The Golden Bough?" My thoughts were cut short as I noticed a peculiar canvas hanging on the far side of the wall. Sunken grays and putrid greens depicted an ocean of some sort, along with a towering spire of rock in the distance. Shipwrecks illuminated by a red sun lay scattered amongst the foreground. My hands began to shake with excitement. The landscape depicted in the painting was the exact blasphemous world I had dreamt of nights before. The old woman looked at me and smiled. "You've had the dreams too, haven't you? All us curious ones have seen them. Join me in the back, there is something you should see." A loud creak emanated through the room as she rose from her chair and began walking towards a crimson curtain hanging in the corner. To my surprise, the curtain was not hiding a window, but rather an entire largely sized room. Immediately my attention was drawn to the table located in the center of the room. Resting comfortably on the tabletop was a variety of figures sculpted tumultuously out of clay and stone. The figures depicted strange beings seemingly from the dreams of a madman. They bore indifferent reptilian eyes and carried strange tools that I simply could not identify. Hanging on the walls of the room stood many more canvases, similar to the one seen before. They depicted strange alien worlds with cyclopean architecture and a haunting brilliance akin to universal knowledge. I have to admit, as I was taking in my surroundings, my brain began to wrinkle and scratch. I felt a yearning in the back of my skull to learn more about this strange world and the power it carries. The old woman turned to meet my astonished face. "The Golden Bough is a tool of ours, a calling card of sorts. It follows those who are haunted by the glorious curiosity, such as yourself." The woman puckered her lips and glimpsed at the ground, seemingly lost for words. "The dreams, there's no real way to explain it, but the dreams have a glorious power. We have existed for centuries, calling out to the few curious others who dare to dream the unreachable. It is now I will give you a choice, choose wisely. The woman reached into her gown to reveal a crimson-stained revolver. She placed the weapon onto the wooden table. Either continue your meek existence as a grain of sand, or die and be reborn, basking under the light of the scarlet sun. I was pulled from the grips of insanity and brought back into the harsh realm of reality. My eyes squinted as my heart began to race. If that truly is a loaded gun, maybe she's right. I know what I must do, the decision that will define who I am as a person. I reached my hand out for the gun, but pulled back. No. The woman's eyebrows raised in shock, as she continued to stare with curious intent. I don't know what's happening here, but I want no part in it. The dreams bring nothing but terror, there is no power worth obtaining within the dreams of man. The woman contemplated my words before silently nodding her head. She took a deep inhale and her expression began to twist. I watched as the bones in her head began to shift and crack against each other, poking through her skin as they writhed around like maggots. Pores had begun opening across her entire body, revealing glimpses of a mysterious shining within. Pupils, deep red pupils lay strewn inside her entire body, blinking and moving as if they had a mind of their own. Her chest had split open, revealing a gap of flesh bordered with yellow-stained teeth, similar to that of a wolf. She began to laugh, making noises that would drive even a healthy man to insanity. I screamed as adrenaline coursed throughout my body. Kill it, I thought. Kill the demon. I grabbed the revolver on the table and aimed the barrel at the creature. I closed my eyes and pulled the trigger. 2 shots rang out. Silence. I slowly raised my eyes to survey what had happened. Impossible. I was standing in the middle of a London street. Where the strange alleyway once was laid nothing but a red brick wall. I hunched over and vomited onto the ground below. Had I gone mad? It was then I felt a cold sensation in my left hand. A revolver, splotched with blood, laying messily in my palm. I write this note now in an attempt to explain my next action. It's been 3 months since my visit to London and I have yet to recover. Every day I lay in my room and stare at the 4 cracked walls. I watch as the light bends and stretches throughout the room, and I listen as the crows scream out my name. The dreams have not stopped, in fact they have worsened. Shambling around my room like a mindless zombie, I have become the very sullen thing I was afraid of. I cannot continue to live a life haunted by the visions of the past. I still have the revolver, tucked away in an old shoebox under my bed. I'm going to shoot myself tonight. I do not know what will happen or what will become of me. I just hope whatever comes after isn't what I think it is. I fear the green foam and red sun. I believe it is what awaits me in the next life. Goodbye, dear reader, pray for me please. That's it for that story, guys. How about it? Can you go to sleep now? If you have a story too, please do email me your story. I place my email on my description box. Till next time, bye.